Sideboard here at the StarCityGames.com Standard Open in Atlanta. I'm Nick Miller alongside Joe Lossett for a player interview. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man.
It's good to have you here. This is a new segment we're going to do on SCG Live each week. We're going to try to sit down a player who's on the leaderboard or kind of on the rise, talk to them, get to know them a little bit. Joe, we've seen you a lot on the Open Series. You're one of the top 5 and all-time top 8s. Anyone that watches SCG Live on the regular will know who you are. But you know, we want to talk to you, kind of see how you're doing on the SCG Tour this year, what your plans are, what your goals. Learn a little bit more about you than people might not know.
All right.
So give us a brief intro on how long you've been playing, kind of what your styles are, and then we're going to go from there in terms of what we're talking about today.
Okay. Well, I've been playing almost from the beginning. I learned in high school. Back then, our style, I guess, was we knew most of the rules, and we played our entire collections, and it was the kitchen table Magic defined, and then eventually moved on to, you know, more organized, more structured stuff. My styles, I don't know really. I suppose my style is probably that I find one deck that I like playing, and then I play it for a long time. I like to know. I really like to know the inside and out how my deck works and kind of what the alternative cards are you could use with it. Like, usually when I'm feeling good about a tournament, it's because I know why everything's there. It's not like I copied a deck list. Even if I did, I know why it's all there. Unlike, for example, today, where we are not in that situation, but but I like to, so I basically, you'll find me playing the same deck for several months at a time.
Right, that's a great point, because we know you, of course, for playing Miracles and Legacy, but also the Tron style deck in Modern, which we're going to talk about now, because, you know, going into the Season 1 Invitational, you were in line for a Players' Championships a lot. And we knew kind of you were going to be playing a Tron deck in that event. Now, you went with mono green there. You didn't quite have a great weekend. But then you kind of went back to green-red, you fixed it, you played a lot online, and then you had great results after that, from 34th, 2nd, and then of course in the GP, top 8 there as well. So talk about kind of your testing with the deck, why you like that deck so much in Modern.
Well, why I like the deck, it's, you get to play, Planeswalkers are cool cards in general, and we're playing really expensive Planeswalkers that have awesome abilities, and when things work correctly, the opponent just gets squashed, and that's cool. It's really neat. So it's an easy deck to enjoy playing. The reason you see me like mono green at the Invitational and then green white for a little while and green red is I think that trap that a lot of people fall into with the deck is like, oh, it's just green red Tron. That's what the deck is. But really, depending on what, like during the Eldrazi era, the red cards were terrible. You can't Pyroclasm and Lightning Bolt Reality Smashers. So that's why I was trying white and then tried mono green, and now that stuff's gone, and I tried to seriously give the other colors a shot, but the red is back to now where I want to be at. And I feel like with the deck, like I've got to the point where I'm comfortable. I know why all the cards are there. I know, like Tron is not a deck that I think is the hardest deck to play. It's maybe more complicated than people give it credit for, but it's not hard compared to some other things. But the mulligans and the sideboarding, I think, are very difficult. And so that's something that it takes some time to get accustomed to, and you really have to work at it. And I feel like at the beginning, I hadn't. And actually, my first game with the deck in a real tournament was on camera and against Jeff Hooglin, and I wasn't playing fast, and I got stuck on some decisions that maybe weren't that obvious. Were somewhat obvious because I didn't know what I was doing. And now I feel like I really own the deck now. It's really, I'm on top of it. I feel very confident with it.
Talk about kind of where you're at. People that follow your stream, you talked a lot about the losing streak you had at the Invitational, and how, like, as a Magic player, you hadn't had something quite as bad as that in a long time. Talk about kind of the mental mind state and how you took, you know, the Invitational finish where you just lost your, you know, PC slot right there. How you kind of learned from that, and, you know, the last couple of weeks and where you've been going now.
Well, it was not a great experience. It was pretty miserable. I don't know how much I really learned. I don't know how you really learn from constant losing, aside from the fact that, because you keep telling yourself, well, it has to get better. Things have to turn around. Then I lost my 7th match in a row. And my 8th match in a row, I was like, there's no one left in the room doing as badly as I am. I have to win the next round. No, I didn't. And it's like, so it's just, as far as like helping you play better Magic, I really don't think it's like, does losing 8 matches in a row teach me anything? Probably not. But emotionally, or psychologically, I guess you get used to it. It's nice to, well, it's not nice, but you just have to be able to deal with, even if it's 2 matches in a row that you lose in a normal event and you're still in contention for something. It's good you have to be able to just focus on the match you're in, and that's a lesson that I probably thought I already knew, but definitely got jammed home now. That you lose all these matches, but you have to keep playing. You have to just get past it. And so, if anything that take away from that is that, really it's one match at a time, and that's a cliche, and you hear it in sports and all kinds of stuff. But it's really mentally, it is important, and I guess every once in a while it's good to have that reinforced, and whether you want it to be or not. And certainly it was then. But yeah, that was pretty devastating. I mean, I probably wouldn't be here if I managed to get that Players Championship slot there. I would have still gone to some Opens, but they probably wouldn't have been standard ones on the other side of the country.
You're one of the most decorated players in the SCG Tour. Does that really resonate with you? Do you kind of recognize that or enjoy that? And as people kind of start coming into competitive Magic and enjoy events like this, do you have any advice for them, for someone who has as much experience as you do?
Well, to start with the beginning of that, I definitely, I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy it. Like when people recognize me and want to talk to me about decks or about events and stuff, that makes me feel good. I enjoy doing that. I definitely am aware of kind of in the background, like the comparisons to other players on the over time, like in Milwaukee when I got second place with Tron not too long ago. It was definitely in the back of my mind that nobody has won 3 2-day Opens yet, and that would have been my third if I won that last match, and that was something I wanted.
Sure.
I was the first with 2, and now there are a couple other people with 2, and I wanted to be the first with 3, and I still could be, but I almost had it there, and that is something I'm aware of, As far as advice for people that are new to the Open Series, that's what you asked, basically? Yeah. If you're new to playing in large-scale tournaments, there's all kinds of little things to know, like how to handle yourself in a bigger room, to pay attention to your stuff, to where things get posted, what you have to do to, just be in the tournament. But as far as like playing the tournament, I think it's the same thing that applies to any other, whether you're playing F&M or pre-release or whatever it is. If you want to take it serious, if you're a casual player, that's fine. If your goal isn't to win, that's okay. If you're there to have fun, I don't mind that. But if you want to be competitive, if you want to be serious about it, you have to have a different, you have to force yourself to do that. Like, this is a fun game, and it's very easy to get lost. Like for a long time, when I was practicing, I wasn't really practicing, I was playing for fun.
Right.
And when you're practicing for something with a deck or for an event or just in general the format, it's different. You have to focus on what you're doing and not get distracted by stuff. And it's harder at a bigger event to focus on what you're doing when there's 600 other people in the room as opposed to when there's 20.
Right.
And that's something that's, you have to kind of, I don't know that you have to prepare for it, but you have to force yourself to do it. Like even a couple of years ago when I already had a reasonable amount of success, but when I'm playing a match, I would be aware of what was happening on either side of me. And at some point I told myself, this is probably not good. And so I really made an effort, I wasn't even sure if I'd be able to say, I'm going to focus on my match, and if it's not my turn and nothing's happening, I'm still going to be thinking about what could be happening. And over a span of a few months, I really realized that I knew a lot less of what was going on next to me, and so I guess that was progress, and that was something that, I identified something that I could focus more, and of course I still could on top of that, but still, the paying attention to what's going on with you as opposed to the rest of the room is important if you are trying to do well. and like it's maybe less fun. You end up with less stories about, oh, the guy next to me screwed this up some way or other. But that's better than the other guy having the same story about you.
Yeah.
And if you're paying attention on your own match, it's less likely he'll be telling a story about how stupid you are. So that's, I guess that leads to more success. So yeah, I guess that would be my advice, is just to really, you have to pay attention to what you're doing and ignore the rest of the room as much as you can.
Lastly, we'll wrap up the piece kind of with things you do outside of Magic. I know you're a StarCraft fan. You kind of watch some other esports and stuff like that. What else do you do in your free time?
I like to. I'm pretty into sports and also the world too. I do. It's funny. Like I do most of my sports stuff on TV or on the internet, whereas most of I actually real reading of world events, like current events and stuff. Like I'm not going to say I'm well educated on the rest of the world, but I keep pretty good track of what's going on, and that stuff is very interesting to me. Like what's going on in our country and the rest of the world. Like I spent a fair amount of time keeping up with that, and I really, several years ago, I decided, when I hear stuff that happens somewhere else, I really don't understand it, even if I can repeat it to you. And so over time of just trying to I was like, I need to pay more attention to what's going on in other places. And now I'm getting to the point where if you tell me something else that happened in some other country, there's a reasonable chance I have some context for it. And so that just takes time and effort and research. And so I pay a lot of attention to sports and also to what's going on out there. But like the NBA Finals right now, what's interesting to me about the NBA Finals this time is that I don't have a rooting interest, and I'm still tremendously interested in it. Yeah. And sometimes that's not the case.
It's hard not to be interested in this.
Right? Yeah. But sometimes, like when your team gets knocked out, you're like, oh, okay, I don't care anymore. And that's been the case for me sometimes too. But this time, I'm really involved, and I read, I watch what's out there. I play a ton of Magic. That's clear. No, I'm interested in. I have other interests, but none that are as active as Magic, or even on the same scale.
Okay. All right, we'll wrap it up. Who's going to win the NBA Finals?
Man, I think the Warriors are really good. That's game one. A couple days ago, where their good players didn't play good, and they absolutely crushed them anyway. Like I think the Warriors are so strong.
Got them in 4?
No, I'm sure LeBron will win a game at least, but the Warriors are going to win.
All right. Well, Joe, thanks for joining me here in the Cyborg.
All right.
Stay tuned to StarCityGames.com all weekend long for the action here in Atlanta.